In this tutorial, I'll generate a Rails app. First, I need a directory to store my app in. On the desktop, create a new folder and call it learn_Rails. Open terminal will navigate into the learn Rails directory. ls is a command that lists out all the folders and files in a certain directory, and a directory is the same thing as a folder. So then to get to my Learn Rails folder, I need to do cd into desktop, and then I can list out the folders in there, and I could cd into Learn Rails finally. And now I'm in Learn Rails. I want to ensure I'm not already in a Git repository. Type git status. If it says fatal, not a Git repository, this is good because this is what I want to see. Now I can create a new Git repository later. To generate a Rails app, type Rails new learn Rails payments. Rails is now creating the projects, folders, and files. Rails uses gems to set the project up. Gems are pre-written software. Now that the Rails project has been created, run ls. I can see the project's directory, learn Rails payments. So I'll cd into learn Rails payments, and then I'll list out everything in there. I can see the contents of this directory. To start the local Rails servers, run Rails server, and then I could copy this URL and open a browser, paste it in. I see a screen that says, "Yay, you're on Rails. Great, the Rails app is up and running locally." To shut down the local's Rails server, open terminal and hit Control-C. Now I get this $sign back. I want the project to use version control. Version control is helpful because if I make a mistake, I can go back to an earlier version of the project. To create a Git repository, run git init, then run git status. I know I'm in a Git repository because instead of seeing fatal, not a Git repository, I now see the files that I need to commit. To add all these files to the staging area, type git add dot. To commit these stage files, type git commit -m. I can put anything, and I'll put generated Rails app. Now type git status. It says nothing to commit. All of the project's files are up to date with version control. Like I mentioned earlier, version control is helpful because if I make a mistake, I can go back to an earlier version. Type git log. I can see the project's first commit. In this tutorial, we created a new Rails app and a Git repository. Open your terminal and make sure you're in the Learn Rails Payments directory. So cd into there. To run your local server, type Rails server, copy the URL for your local site, and paste it in, and you're on Rails. I want to create a custom homepage. Creating a new homepage involves a few steps. First, I need to create a new route. The route will point to a controller. The controller will then render a view. However, before I do any of that, I need to set up a text editor. Open Sublime Text. From the top menu, click Project, Save Project As, and then navigate to your Learn Rails folder. Save it as learn_Rails.sublime-project. Hit Save, and then in Sublime, click from the top menu, Project, Add Folder to Project. Navigate back to Learn Rails. Click on the Learn Rails Payments directory, and then press Open. Everything from this folder is now on the sidebar. Now that I have Sublime set up, I can start to create a custom homepage. In Sublime, open config routes.rb. Anything after a hashtag is a comment. If code is commented out, it won't run. I'll leave the comments for now. I'm going to create a new route for the homepage. So just before the end, type route single quotes pages hashtag home. When a user goes to the homepage, a request is sent to the site's server. This new route directs the request to the pages controller's home method, where it will be handled. So save routes.rb and open your browser and refresh your local page. I get an error that says uninitialized constant pages controller. This error is saying that the app doesn't have a controller called pages. I need to create a new controller. I could generate a controller in two different ways. I could get Rails to automatically generate a controller for me. However, Rails would also add a bunch of other files that I don't need. I'll create my controller in a different way. So go back to Sublime and in Apps, Controllers, hit New File and save this as pages_controller.rb. Then open your pages controller and type class pages controller less than application controller def home, and I'll end that. I created the class called pages controller. This class inherits the properties of the application controller. Inheriting from the application controller will help make the pages controller work. The application controller is located in the same app controllers directory. Inside the pages controller, I defined a method called home. The class pages controller and the method home both have an end. In order for a user to see the home page, a view must be rendered. Rails will by default render the view method name.html.erb. So the home method will render a view called home.html.erb by default. So make sure you save the pages controller. And next I need to create the home view. So in app views, create a new folder and call it pages. And in the pages folder, create a new file and save it as home.html.erb. This is an HTML file. However, adding .erb allows me to add Ruby's embedded syntax. Open home.html.erb and type hello world. Save this file, open your browser, and refresh the home page. Hello world is displayed. In this video, I made a simple home page. I did this by creating a route which points to the pages controller home method. I created a new view for the home page. The last thing I need to do is save the changes in Git. So open terminal, quit out of the server with Control-C, and type git status. These are the files I've modified and added. Type git add dot to add all the files to be staged. Then to commit these changes, type git commit -m in between two double quotations. You could put anything you like, but I'll put created a simple home page. Press enter, then type git status. The working directory is clean. In this video, we created a new home page. Right now, I have a simple Rails app working locally. I want to get this app working on my production servers. I will be using Heroku. So let's start setting up the app to work with Heroku. Heroku needs to know what version of Ruby I'm using. Open terminal, type Ruby V. I'm using version 2.3.0. In Sublime, open your gem file, and then on line 3, I'll just type a comment that says Heroku should use this version of Ruby. And then I'll specify the version by typing Ruby space, and in between two single quotes, I'll type my version, which is 2.3.0. I now need to tell Heroku what database gem to use. Locally, I will continue to use SQLite 3. However, on my production server, Heroku uses PostgreSQL. I need to add the PostgreSQL gem to the gem file. So under gem SQLite 3 on line 8, type on line 10 another comment. I'll say Postgres for production database. And then I'll type gem, single quotes, PG. And that's the gem for Postgres. To set SQLite 3 as the database for test and development, type comma, group, semicolon, square brackets, another semicolon, development, comma, test, and then I'll have a comment above that just says SQLite 3 for development and test database. To set Postgres as the production database, type gem pg, group production. Lastly, I need to set the gem for Rails 12 factor. All you need to know is that Heroku needs this gem to work. Type on line 14 a comment. They'll say 12 factor for Heroku, typing gem Rails underscore 12 factor, comma, group production. I'm going to sum up what I did to this gem file. I specified what version of Ruby I'm using. I then set the database for development and test to SQLite 3. I also set the Heroku production to Postgres. Lastly, I added the Rails 12 factor gem for Heroku. So save the gem file, open database.yaml. I'm using Postgres for the production database, so delete everything from production on line 23 all the way down to line 25, and then save. Open terminal and run bundle install without production. This installs all gems in the gem file. I'm running bundle install without production because when I push the app to Heroku, Heroku bundle installs automatically. Then run git status git add dot to add all the files modified to the staging area. Then run git commit -m. In the next video, I'll push the app to Heroku and get it working online. I want the local project to work online. Heroku will put the local project on the internet so it can be accessed from any device. First, you need to sign up for a free Heroku account. Once you've done that, the local app is ready to be pushed to Heroku. However, I need to download the Heroku command line interface. So go to this URL, go to download and install, then download the version of the Heroku command line that corresponds to your operating system. I've already done this. Open terminal and run Heroku login. Enter your Heroku email address and password. My authentication was successful. I'm going to create an application in Heroku. I need to give this app a unique name. So I'll run Heroku apps create, and my unique name will be Learn Rails Payments. I called my Heroku app Learn Rails Payments. You will have to come up with your own unique name. Now that I've created my Heroku app, I could use Git to push the local app to Heroku servers. I can then see the site live. To push the app to Heroku, run git push Heroku master. Heroku created an URL for the app. My Heroku app's URL is learnrailspayments.heroku.com. I could change the domain name later. Copy your Heroku URL and paste it into your browser. Great! This is the same as my local site. The site is now working on Heroku. This is a great starting point. It may take a little while for your Heroku app to wake up, so if it doesn't work within the first few minutes, just give it some time and go to your Heroku dashboard and make sure there's no Z's there. If there are Z's, it'll just take a few minutes and it'll wake up once you've sent a request to your URL. In your browser, go to github.com. Create a free account, then log in. I want to push the app to GitHub. A GitHub repository will allow us to back up the code. First, we have to make a new repository. So from the top right corner, click on the plus button, then click New Repository. Give your repository a name. I'll call mine Learn Rails Payments. Leave the description blank. It will be a public repository. To set it to a private repository, I would have to have a paid account. I don't want a README file. Click the green Create Repository button. I now have a GitHub repository. The repository's URL is listed here. Keep the URL as HTTPS. Scroll down the page to push an existing repository from the command line. Copy git remote add origin with your URL, open terminal, paste in. This command sets Git's origin to this URL. Now I can type the word origin instead of the full URL. Just a quick side note, if any Windows users get an error saying origin already exists, paste in the same command but replace add with set URL. So again, for any Windows users who get stuck, try running set URL origin and then your URL. Go back to your browser, copy git push origin master, open terminal, paste it in, and run the command. You will be prompted to enter your GitHub username and password. My local Git repository has now been pushed to GitHub. In your browser, go to your GitHub repository. My local Git repository has now been pushed to GitHub. Click on the Commits tab. I can see the different commits. In this tutorial, I created a GitHub repository. Then, I pushed the local code to it. I want to use Bootstrap to make the app look better. The first thing I need to do is add Bootstrap's gem to the gem file. Open up your gem file, and on line 17 I'll add a comment at Twitter Bootstrap, and then underneath it I'll add the gem for Bootstrap. Save the gem file, open your terminal, and run git status. I have modified the gem file. Remember that the gem file tells Rails what gems the app needs. To have Rails install these gems and their dependencies, I need to run bundle install. Type bundle install. Whenever a new gem is added to the project, the local Rails server needs to be restarted. I'm going to add some CSS to the project. Open Sublime, and in App, Assets, Style Sheets, create a new file. Save it as bootstrap_custom.css.scss. SCSS stands for Sassy CSS. I will use SCSS to generate a cascading style sheet. All you need to know is that SCSS extends CSS's functionality. In bootstrap_custom.css.scss, I need to import Bootstrap. So type on line 1 at import Bootstrap. Make sure you have a semicolon at the end. Save this file, open your browser, and refresh the homepage. Because Bootstrap is installed, the homepage font looks slightly different. View this page's source code. On line 8, you can see that Rails has linked to Bootstrap Custom. This is the file we just created. Click on this link. We can see all of Bootstrap's CSS. Bootstrap has been successfully added to the project. In this tutorial, I added Bootstrap's gem to the app. In the next video, I'll use Bootstrap to make the app look better. To make the app look better, I'll need to add some JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. I need to download the files from GitHub. So open a browser and go to this URL, which I'll provide a link to in the lecture notes, and download these as a zip file. Once they're downloaded, unzip them and drag them to your desktop. I want to see what this looks like in my browser. So drag index.html into your browser. Let's start the process of making the Rails app look like this. Click and select View Page Source. Copy all of this code. In Sublime, open App, Views, Layouts, Application.html.erb, and then open Pages Home.html.erb. Delete Hello World and paste the code in. Go back to Application.html.erb. The contents of home.html are rendered to the yield tag on line 12. Yield is in a body tag. Therefore, I need to make sure home.html.erb only contains code that should be in a body tag. Go back to home.html and delete everything from line 1 doc type all the way to the first body tag on line 13, and then delete line 41 and line 42, the closing body tag and closing HTML tag. Now the only HTML in this file is the content of the body tag. The view home.html.erb is now structured correctly. However, the homepage will still not look like the design because I haven't linked to any of the CSS files yet. In the next video, I'll continue the process of making the app look better. If I make a mistake, I want to be able to go back to this point. So before I continue, I'll update Git. Save everything, then go to your terminal and run git status. I've modified the home page. To add this file to the staging area, run git add dot, then run git commit -m. Started adding home page design. Git status, nothing to commit. My working directory is clean. I'll push this up to GitHub later. In the next video, I'll continue the process of meshing the front-end design with our Rails app. I want the homepage to look more like the design. I'm going to copy some code from index.html to application.html. From Learn Rails Design, open index.html in Sublime, copy everything from line 4, meta charset UTF-8, all the way down to line 10, CSS, main.css. So copy that, open app, views, layout, open application.html.erb, and paste after the opening head tag. Cut the title from line 11. On line 7, delete this title and paste the other one in. In the last lecture, I added Bootstrap to the app. I don't need this link, so we could just delete this link on line 8 to bootstrap.min.css because we added the gem file last time. And on line 9, I could see that I need to save the style sheet main.css to the app. So from the Learn Rails Design directory, go to CSS, open main.css. Click File, Save As. Save this in App, Assets, Style Sheets as main.css. Open application.html.erb. On line 12, Style Sheet Link Tag automatically imports local style sheets. This means I could delete this local style sheet link on line 9. Save this file, make sure your local server is running, open your browser, and refresh localhost 3000. This is looking much better. However, I still need to fix a few things. For example, I want the image to render. Also, in a future lecture, I'll make this Get It button work. I'll commit these changes to Git. Open terminal, quit the server, run git status, run git add dot git commit -m. In this tutorial, I added main.css.erb to the app and continued updating the CSS. I want the homepage header image to render. In Finder, open Learn Rails Design, go to Image, and copy header image.jpg. Then open your Learn Rails project and go into Payments, App, Assets, Images, paste in the Images directory. In Sublime Text, open home.html.erb. To set the header image path, I'll use some ERB. So delete the hard-coded image path on line 6, and in its place, type I have image underscore tag, the name of the image that we want to link to, in this case header image.jpg, and then I'll give it an ID of content head image, and I'll give it an alt text of Learn Rails, and make sure you close that ERB tag. This will output the image called header image.jpg. The ID has a value of content head 𝐼𝐸. It is needed for the CSS to work. I set the alternative text to Learn Rails. Open your browser and refresh localhost 3000. The header image is rendered. I need to import Bootstrap's JavaScript. In Sublime, open App Assets, JavaScript, open application.js. On line 12, after the two slashes, type equals require Bootstrap. Save this file. In a future video, I'll be using Bootstrap's JavaScript. I want to make sure Bootstrap's JavaScript is being imported. Open your browser, refresh the home page. Right-click and view page source. On line 15, you could see assets bootstrap.self.js. Rails automatically generated the link to this file. Bootstrap's JavaScript has been successfully imported. In this video, I fixed the header image on the home page, and I added Bootstrap's JavaScript to the app. In this video, we're going to continue working on the layout and design of the project. Open home.html.erb and cut everything from div ID class container on line 1 all the way to line 7, the closing header tag. Cut that. Open application.html.erb above the yield tag. Paste that in. And then below the yield tag, I have to close this div tag. So type /div on line 24. Then go back into home.html.erb and delete this extra closing div tag on line 25, and then also delete these scripts from line 29 to 31. I deleted these scripts because when the page renders, Rails automatically imports the app's JavaScript. Open terminal, quit out of the server, let's push the updated code to Git. Run git status, then to add all these files to the staging area, add dot, then run git commit -m transferred shared code from home view to application layout. The working branch is clean. I could push this updated app to GitHub. So run git push origin master, open github.com, and then look at the commits. Great, my code is successfully pushed to GitHub. I want to push these changes to Heroku. So go back into your terminal and run git push Heroku master. Once the updated app has been pushed to Heroku, copy the URL, paste it in. My Heroku app looks the same as my local app. In this tutorial, I transferred code from home.html.erb to application.html.erb. I want the app to be able to process payments. To accept credit card payments, I'll use Stripe. With Stripe, you can take one-off or recurring subscription payments. I need to add Stripe's gem to the Rails app. Open your gem file. On line 17, make a comment. I'll say Stripe for taking payments, and then below it, we'll add the gem for Stripe. So type gem, Stripe, git, and then we'll give it this URL, https github.com/stripe/stripe-ruby. This version of Stripe from GitHub will ensure that Stripe works with Rails. Once you've added the gem for Stripe, save your gem file and open terminal, then run bundle install. Now I'm going to push the updated app to GitHub. So run git status, then git add dot git commit -m, added Stripe's gem to the gem file. I added Stripe's gem to the gem file. I then ran bundle install. I can now start working on the checkout form. I'll add a charges form to the app. Go to this URL. I installed Stripe's gem in the app's gem file. Let's start by setting up the views. So scroll down the page to the view section. Copy everything from the opening form tag charges path due all the way down to the closing end tag. And then go into Sublime Text and open home.html.erb. On line 18, below get it, but above the unordered list, paste in. To make this easier to read, I'll just tab this in. Save home.html.erb, go back to Stripe's documentation. I need to add a route. So copy resources charges Then, in config routes.rb, below the root for the home page, paste in on line 4. Go back to home.html.erb. On line 31, delete this publishable key. Leave it blank for now. We will come back to this. Make sure your local server is running. Refresh localhost 3000. You might get an error saying that we haven't set the publishable key. Don't worry about that. We'll set that later. Just ignore it for now. But now we have this Pay with Card button. Click on it. I can see a credit card form. In the next tutorial, I'll continue working on this checkout form. In this video, I started adding a Stripe credit card form to the app. Go to stripe.com. Make sure you've signed up for an account. Then log into your account. I want to point out that on the left side, there's a switch for test and live. For now, keep it on test. Click on your account, then account settings. You may be prompted to log in. Click on API keys. Here are two sets of API keys, one for testing, the other set for live. If you want to, you could refresh your API keys by clicking the arrows next to them. Copy your test publishable key. Open home.html on line 31 in between the double quotes for data key. Paste in your test publishable key. Save this file, open Chrome, and refresh localhost 3000. Click the Pay with Card button. Let's try submitting a payment. Enter any email address. Enter Stripe's test card number, which is 4242 4 times over. Enter any future date and any 3-digit number, and click Pay. I get an error message saying uninitialized constant charges controller. I will add the charges controller to the app. To charge credit cards, I need to create a new controller. Open Sublime Text and in Apps, Controllers, right-click and click New File. Save this file as charges_controller.rb. Open App Controllers pagescontroller.rb and copy the first line, then paste it into line 1 of chargescontroller.rb. And instead of pages controller, type charges controller. We need to end this class. Go back to the Rails checkout guide at this URL. Copy the create method. Go back into Sublime and in chargescontroller.rb, paste it in the class. To make it easier to read, I tabbed in my code. Make sure charges is spelled correctly. Don't worry, I'll provide this code for you. Then refresh localhost 3000 and hit Pay with Card. Put in any email address. 4242 4 times is Stripe's test card number. Put in any future date and any 3-digit number. Hit Pay. I get an error message saying there's no API key provided. The charges controller needs my Stripe secret API key. Go back to Stripe checkout Rails URL. Scroll down to configuring the app. To set Stripe's API keys, the guide suggests I create an initializer. Copy the example initializer, open Sublime Text, go to Config Initializers, and create a new file. Save the file as stripe.rb. In stripe.rb, paste the example initializer code. This initializer will set the Stripe API keys. Initializers only run when an app is first started. So if you ever modify an initializer file, remember to restart your local Rails server. Open App Views home.html.erb. On line 31, I don't want my Stripe API key hard-coded into the form, so delete this hard-coded API key. The variable publishable key is set in my initializer file, stripe.rb. I'll use some ERB to output the value of the publishable key. So type rails.configuration.stripe publishable_key. We don't want private information like the Stripe publishable key to be uploaded and stored on GitHub. So in the next, we will use a gem that will allow us to manage our API keys securely. In stripe.rb, we will then set our environment variables to our actual Stripe API keys. We are getting closer to accepting credit cards with Stripe. In this tutorial, I started the process of configuring my Stripe API keys with an initializer. I want the homepage to look better. Instead of this default Pay with Card button, I want to use a big green Bootstrap button. Open home.html.erb, delete this top article tag, delete everything from label class amount all the way down to the closing article tag. Also delete this A tag on line 17. I'll get the ID for the charge form. So on line 19, after charges path, put a comma and put ID charge form. Then on line 27, after checkout.js, close the script tag. I need to create a hidden field for the Stripe token and Stripe email. On line 28, write some ERB, and this will be the hidden underscore field tag Stripe token. Copy that and paste it below, but instead of Stripe token, this time we'll take the Stripe email. Below that, create a button tag and have the ID equal some bootstrap btn-by. The type will be button. Class will equal btn, btn-success, btn-large, btn-blog. These are all bootstrap classes that will give us a big green button. Then open up a span tag and have class equals glyphicon, OK. And then close the span class. And in between the closing span and closing button tag, we'll put by this. I need to add some JavaScript. This JavaScript can be found attached to this lecture. I've used JavaScript to create a variable for a handler. I set the key to my Stripe publishable key. I also created a token. Then this JavaScript gets the value for Stripe token and Stripe email. Finally, I call submit on the charge form. When a user hits the buy this button, I need to make sure that the handler code is called with the name, description, and amount. Again, this JavaScript will be found attached to this lecture. What I've done is added an event listener, which will make sure that when a user hits the buy button, the handler code is called with the name, description, and amount. Delete this repetitive code from line 49 to 52. I forgot to add a closing curly bracket here. Now when a user clicks on the buy button, the handler will run this code. So save this file and refresh Chrome. Submit your payment. I'm redirected and I see the payment was successful. Just to make sure, refresh your Stripe dashboard. I have an extra $5 and a new customer. I updated home.html.erb to make this buy button look better. Under app controllers, open chargescontroller.rb. I need to replace some hard-coded information in the charges controller. I'll make sure the charges controller is getting the amount from the form. On line 14, delete amount and instead write params in square brackets amount. Make sure you have this comma. Delete amount equals 500 on line 5. I need to create a hidden field to pass the amount that should be charged. Under Views, Pages, open home.html.erb. Copy the hidden field tag on line 28, paste it below, then type amount $4.99. In the future, I'll make a table in the database to store different product amounts. But for now, I hard-coded how much the product will cost in cents. I can now get the amount through the hidden form field. On line 45, delete the hard-coded amount, and in its place, type document.getElementById amount.value. Now, this is set to the value of the amount hidden field tag. Restart your server, refresh Chrome, try buying something. Great, the purchase went through. Let's save these changes to Git. Quit the server, run git status, type git add dog. To commit this change, git commit-m, and I'll say checkout form passes real parameters to the checkout controller. I'll push the updated app to GitHub. Run git push origin master. I want to store all transactions in the database. I need to create a new model. Run Rails generate model purchase. I have generated a model called purchase. Run git status. When GitHub generated my model, these are all the files that it created. I'll remove the test files. Run rm test/fixtures/purchases.yaml. Now purchases.yaml is removed. I'll also remove purchase_test.rb. Type rm test models purchase_test.rb. Now I just have a new purchase.rb file and an added migration. In Sublime, under db migrate, open create purchases.rb. It starts with a date and time. I want to add some new fields to this migration. In the create table, type t.string email t.integer amount, t.string description, t.string currency, t.string customer ID, t.string card, t.integer product ID. I added 5 string fields to this migration: email, description, currency, customer ID, and card. I also added 2 integer fields, amount and product ID. Save this file, open terminal. To add the purchases table to the local database, run rake db migrate. The purchases table was successfully migrated. In Sublime, under app controllers, create a new file. Save this file as purchases_controller.rb. I'll create a new controller. Type class purchases controller less than application controller, add an end. I want to be able to see specific purchases. I'm going to add a new method to this controller. I'll call this method show. So in class purchases controller, type def show and add an end. In def show, type at purchase equals purchase dot find, and it'll find the parameter based on its ID. At purchase is a variable that I will be able to access in the view. This variable finds the purchase object in the database based on its ID. Open your charges controller. A customer is created, then they are charged. When the customer is redirected, I want to display what they purchased. On line 18, type purchase equals purchase.create email, and it'll take the parameter Stripe email. After the square bracket, add a comma, and this time we'll have the card take the parameter Stripe token. Add another comma after the square bracket. This time, the amount will take the parameter amount. The description will be charge.description. Currency will be charge.currency. Customer_ID will be the customer.id, and product_ID is set to 1. This is just to make it a little easier to read. Finally, we'll redirect to purchase. Make sure purchase and redirect to purchase is tabbed in correctly. Again, you'll have access to all this code attached to the lecture. On line 18, I created a new purchase object and set it to the variable purchase. The email, card, amount, description, currency, customer ID, and product ID is then correlated to that new purchased and saved in the database. Finally, I redirect to purchase. I need a route for showing purchases. Make sure all these files are saved. Under config, open routes.rb. Type resources, purchases, only, in square brackets, show. This route will send requests to the purchases controller. However, I limited the route to only the method show. Rails by default directs the controller to render a view with the same name as the method being used. So in this case, the method show needs a view called show.html.erb. I need to create a new view. In app, views, create a new folder, call this folder purchases. Inside the purchases directory, make a new file. Save this file as show.html.erb. In show.html.erb, type a p tag and then close it. And in that p tag, I'll put, "This is your purchase." Then underneath, open another p tag and close it. And here I'll display the purchase. So type your purchase is, and then I'll use some ERB, at purchase.inspect. At purchase.inspect will display all the information from that purchase. Let's test this out. Make sure everything is saved and that your server is running. Refresh your homepage. Try buying the product. Great, my purchase went through. I'm redirected and the purchase information is displayed. In this lecture, I added a table to save purchases. I then added some code to display the user's purchase information. I'll save the changes to Git. Open terminal and run git status, then git add dot, git commit -m. We can now store and display purchases. I'll push the updated app to GitHub. Run git push origin master. Finally, to push the updated app to Heroku, run git push Heroku master. In the last video, I pushed my updated code to GitHub and Heroku. I want to test the app on Heroku. To get the products table into my Heroku apps database, I need to run Heroku, run, rake, db, migrate. Open Chrome. Go to your Heroku apps URL. Try paying with card. Great! I get redirected to this page displaying these details about my purchase. Awesome, everything is working on Heroku. After a purchase, I want to be able to deliver a file to the user. I'm going to use Amazon Web Service to store this file. So go to aws.amazon.com and create a free account. Then click Sign into your console. Under Storage and Content Delivery, click S3. Hit the Create a Bucket link. You will have to call your bucket a unique name. I'll call my bucket Rails Learn App Bucket. Click on your bucket. Click the Upload button. Add a file. As a test file, I'll add this cat photo. You can upload whatever you want. Click Start Upload. Right-click on the photo you uploaded and hit Make Public. Right-click on the file again. This time hit Properties. Copy the URL. Open App, Views, Purchases, show.html.erb. On line 4, add another p tag and close it. And in between the p tag, type here is, and then I'll add a link, your file, and then I'll add the path to the file. Paste in your Amazon URL. Save this file. Let's test this out. Open Chrome, refresh localhost 3000. Try paying with card. I'm redirected to this page. I can see my purchase. Click on this link. Great, I'm taken to the file. We made it, so now, after a purchase is made, a user can download a file. In Chrome, go to your home page. Make a purchase. I'm redirected to this page that has information about my purchase. I want to make this receipt look better. From Learn Rails Design, drag receipt.html into your browser. I want to make my app look more like this design. First, I'll fix the footer on the home page. Drag receipt.html into Sublime and copy the footer. Open home.html. Scroll to the bottom and delete the old footer. Then open application.html.erb and paste in between the closing div tag and closing body tag. Save everything. Let's make the app's receipt look better. Open receipt.html, copy everything from line 22, section ID content receipt, all the way down to the closing section tag on line 45. Open show.html.erb. Delete everything but the link to the file on Amazon. Paste the code from receipt.html on line 1. Cut the Amazon link. Paste it on line 16 before this button. Put a closing A tag to close the link around the button. Save show.html.erb. Refresh the home page. The footer looks better. Try paying with card. I'm redirected to a receipt that looks much better, and the download link works. I'll save the updated code to Git. Open terminal, run git status, git add dot, git commit -m, updated the receipt design and homepage footer. I'll push the updated app to GitHub. Run git push origin master. In this tutorial, I updated the homepage footer and made the receipt look better. Open Chrome, go to your homepage and purchase an item. I get redirected to this receipt page. If you look at the end of the URL, you can see that every purchase is numbered. After each purchase, this number goes up by 1. I don't want users to be able to guess the URL. Then, someone could look at another customer's purchase. In order to make this app more secure, I'll use a universally unique identifier, or UUID for short. This will make the receipt URL harder to guess. I need my database to store a UUID for each purchase. I'll migrate the UUID field to the purchase table. Open terminal, run Rails G migration, add UUID to purchases, and UUID will be a string. Then run rake db migrate. Open chargescontroller.rb, add UUID after product ID 1. Secure random.uuid. Save the charges controller. I added the UUID property to purchase. Now, when an item is purchased, secure random.uuid creates a value for UUID. This value is then saved to the UUID field for that purchase in the database. Under models, open purchase.rb. Add a new method. This method will be toParam, and it needs an end, and it will have the UUID. This method is called toParam. It will return a UUID. Under controllers, open purchasecontroller.rb. On line 3, type by UUID. Now, when an item is purchased, a UUID will be generated for that purchase. This method, find by UUID, will find the purchase based on the UUID. Make sure you've saved all these updated files. Make sure your server is running. Refresh your homepage. Make a new purchase. A random string is now at the end of the URL. This link to view my purchase is now much more secure. I'll save the updated code to Git. Open terminal, run git status, git add dot, git commit -m, made the receipt more secure. I'll push the updated app to GitHub. Run git push origin master. To push these changes to Heroku, run git push Heroku master. To migrate the updated table to Heroku, run Heroku run rake db migrate. Open Chrome, go to your Heroku URL. Make a purchase. I'm redirected to my receipt. The URL is more secure because it now ends with a random string. After a product is purchased, the user is redirected to a receipt with a file that they could download. I want to email the buyer this file. I'm going to get ready to send emails with SendGrid. Open your terminal. Run Heroku add-ons create SendGrid starter. To confirm that SendGrid is configured with Heroku, run Heroku config get SendGrid username. This username was automatically created. I've now added the free SendGrid starter plan to my Heroku app. If you want to know more about SendGrid in Heroku, go to elements.heroku.com, scroll down and click on SendGrid. Scroll down to plans and you can see what the starter plan offers. We need to configure SendGrid. Under config, open environment.rb. I'm going to add some settings. I didn't want you to have to sit here while I type all these settings, so I just pasted them in from another file. You'll have this file available to download. SendGrid will only work on Heroku. To handle emails locally, I need to add the gem letter opener. Open your gem file. Under the gem for Bootstrap SaaS, add the gem for letter opener. Gem letter opener. And this gem will only be used during development. For production, Heroku will use SendGrid. Make sure that all your updated files have been saved. To install the letter opener gem, I need to run bundle install. Open terminal, run bundle install. When I'm working on the site locally, I want letter opener to open the email in the browser. I need to configure letter opener to do this. Under config environments, open development.rb. On line 14, add a comment for development mode, use letter opener to open emails in the browser. Then configure the action mailer by typing config action mailer dot delivery method equals letter opener. Now when we send the email locally, letter opener will open the email in the browser. Save this file. I'll save the updated code to Git. Open terminal. Run git status git add dot git commit -m configured app to handle emails in development and production. I'll push the updated app to GitHub. Run git push origin master. After someone makes a purchase, I want the app to send them an email. Open app models purchase.rb. Type after create email purchaser. After a purchase is created, the email purchaser method will be called. Let's make the email purchaser method. Type def email purchaser and purchase mailer dot purchase receipt tick self dot deliver. Email purchaser calls the purchase receipt method on the class purchase mailer. Self passes in an instance of the purchase. Then the email is delivered. I need to define the class purchase mailer and the method purchase receipt. Under app mailers, create a new file. Save it as purchase_mailer.rb. Type class purchase mailer less than action mailer base layout purchase underscore mailer, and don't forget to end the class, default from learn Rails, learn app code at gmail.com. And then let's define the purchase receipt. Def purchase receipt, purchase, and the method, and then write at purchase equals purchase, mail to purchase.email, subject, thanks for your business. I'll run through the purchase mailer class. I called the layout purchase underscore mailer. I then gave it a default from. I defined a method called purchase receipt. The purchase variable from this method will be accessed from a template. I also set it to mail to the purchase.email and set the subject. I then ended that method. The purchase mailer needs a view. Under app views, create a new folder. Call it purchase underscore mailer. In purchase underscore mailer, create a new file. Save it as purchase underscore receipt.html.erb. Type a paragraph tag, close it, and have it say thanks. Then make an ERB tag, and I'll set the download link. I'll use the method link to download your product. Grab your link, paste it in. Close the ERB tag. Save this file. Lastly, I need to create a layout for the email. Under Views, Layouts, create a new file, save it as purchase.mailer.html.erb. To give this layout structure, I'm going to add some HTML tags. I just pasted in this basic structure. Then in the body, add a yield tag and another p tag. This paragraph tag will say, thanks for your purchase. I want to see if this works. Make sure your server is running. Refresh your homepage. Make a purchase. Great! In local development, Letter Opener allows me to see the email in Chrome. I got email working locally. I want to test out the updated app on Heroku. First, I need to push these changes to GitHub. Run git status, git add dot, git commit -m, email receipt to customer. To push the updated code to GitHub, run git push origin master. Finally, to push this updated code to Heroku, run git push Heroku master. Go to your Heroku URL. To make sure everything works on Heroku, I'm going to try buying the product. I'm redirected to the receipt. The download link still works. Wait a few minutes, then check the email address that you entered. I have an email with a link to the product I bought. In this video, I pushed my Rails app to Heroku. I then tested to make sure the app works on Heroku. I also want to point out in config environment.rb, you don't have to do anything with the SendGrid username or password. If you just follow along, it's all automatically set up through Heroku. So just leave the file as is. To help me see any purchases, I'll add an admin system to the app. I'll use the gem active admin. Open your gem file. Under the gem for Figaro, add a comment, active admin for admin system. Then add the gem for active admin. Line 24 ensures the app gets the latest version of active admin from GitHub. I then have to paste in this other gem for inherited resources on line 25. I found this in the GitHub help section for active admin, and this is needed for active admin to work on Rails 5. To handle user authentication, I need to add a gem called devise. And type another comment for user authentication, and then add the gem for devise. Save your gem file. Open terminal. Run bundle install. Again, running bundle install ensures that all of the dependencies for active admin and devise are available to the application. I'll commit the updated app to Git. Run git add dot git commit -m added devise and active admin. I'll install active admin. Run Rails G active underscore admin install. I want to see what files were generated. Run git status. I'll remove a few of these files that I won't need. First, to remove admin users.yaml, run rm test fixtures admin users.yaml. Then, to remove admin users test.rb, run rm test models admin user test.rb. For active admin to work, I need to run the migrations it generated. So run rake db migrate. Then, in order for me able to log in, I need a mock account. To seed the database with a mock account, run rake db seed. I just migrated the new tables to the database. Now that the database has been updated, I need to restart the local server. Go to localhost 3000/admin. I want to try logging into Active Admin. Try the default credentials, admin@example.com and password. I'm logged in. I can see the Active Admin dashboard. I'll eventually have purchases and products displayed here. I'm going to push my updated code to Heroku. Open terminal, run git add dot git commit -m generated active admin files. To push the updated app to GitHub, run git push origin master. To push the updated app to Heroku, run git push Heroku master. I need to migrate the database changes to Heroku. Run Heroku run rake db migrate, then run Heroku run rake db seed. Go to your Heroku URL. Go to /admin. Log in. Again, admin@example.com and password. Great! Active Admin is working on Heroku too. In this video, I got Active Admin working locally and on Heroku. I want to use Active Admin to manage product purchases. Open your terminal and run rails g active_admin resource purchase. This command created a file called purchase.rb. Open app admin purchase.rb. I need to make sure that the purchase ID is converted from an integer to a string. I'll add a before filter. Before_filter do purchase.class eval do def2param id.toString. Make sure each method and class has an end. The before filter method will call the method toParam. toParam will convert the purchase ID from an integer to a string. Don't worry too much about this. Just make sure you have this code. I'll attach it to the lecture. Save this file. Open Chrome, go to /admin. The navbar has a new link called Purchases. Click on it. I'm taken to a page that displays all of the purchases. I want to make sure this works on Heroku. Open terminal, run git add dot git commit -m can now use admin to manage purchases. To push the updated app to GitHub, run git push origin master. Then, to push the updated app to Heroku, run git push Heroku master. Go to your Heroku app /admin. My Heroku app now has the purchases link in admin. I made it possible to view all product purchases in Active Admin. I don't want to have to hard code my products. Instead, I want to store products in the database, then display them dynamically. I'll use a seed file to load the products into the database. Under DB, open seeds.rb. I'm going to paste in a product I made previously. I used the create method to make a new product I called Nice Cat. This product has some properties: title, subtitle, image name, price, SKU, download URL, details, and description. These properties are similar to the ones I had hard-coded earlier in the views home.html.erb and show.html.erb. In a future tutorial, I'll use the SKU to pull specific products from the database. Save seeds.rb. I want the database to have multiple products, but I don't want you to have to watch me type all day. So in the resources section of this tutorial, I'll attach seed data for other products. But right now, I'll commit these changes to Git. Open terminal, run git add dot git commit -m added first product to seeds.rb. In the next tutorial, I'll seed the database with the products. Under DB, open seeds.rb. I want to store these products in the database. I need to create a table in the database that can hold data for these product parameters. To create this table, I need to generate a new model. I'll call this model product. Open terminal, run rails g model product, run git status. Generating a model like this creates a few files. I'll delete the files that I don't need. So run rm test /fixtures /products.yaml. Also run rm test models product_test.rb to remove that file. Under db migrate, open create products.rb. Inside this method, I'll add the parameters I want the table to have. First, I'll add 3 string parameters: t.string, title, t.string, subtitle, t.string, image name. I'll then add t.text for the description field. I also need a string for the SKU field. Finally, I need a decimal for the price. I'll use this database migration to create the products table. This table has 7 fields: a field for title, subtitle, image name, SKU, price, description, and timestamps. I also added a spot in the table for download URL. The most important thing to ensure is that each parameter being seeded has a corresponding spot in the table. I'll use this database migration to create the products table. Run rake db migrate. This command created the products table locally. I'll save these changes to Git. Run git status, git add dot, git commit -m, added the products table. Finally, to load the seed data into the newly created products table, run rake db seed. In this video, we created a new table and then loaded the seed data into the database. Under controllers, open pagescontroller.rb. Inside the method home, I'll create a new variable. This variable will be set to find the product in the database by SKU. I'll find the SKU for my Kitty1 product. Inside the home method, type @product equals product.find by SKU Kitty1. I'll use the variable @product to display product information. Under Views, Pages, open home.html.erb. To pull the correct product information from the database, I need to change the template. So I'll delete this old title, and in its place, I'll type some ERB. @product.title, and then I'll copy that. I'll also add the subtitle. Open terminal, and make sure your server is running. Refresh the home page. Great! The product's title and subtitle have been successfully pulled from the database and displayed. Go back to home.html.erb. From the database, I also want to pull and display the product's description and price. Delete everything from the paragraph tag on line 6 to the closing unordered list tag on line 14. Type some ERB, raw @product.description. Then, from the hidden field tag on line 15, delete the hard-coded price and instead put @product.price. Save home.html.erb. I also have to change this JavaScript to make sure it's pulling the correct information from the database. So on line 36, delete the old description, and in its place add some ERB, type @product.title, copy this, and in brackets, we'll display the product's price. These single quotes are right before this comma. Now refresh Chrome. The product's title, subtitle, and description are now pulled from the database. In home.html.erb. I want the database to have an info field. I then want to pull product info from the database and display it. To do this, we're going to have to do a few steps. First, scroll down and delete this list item on line 46. Then delete what you get, and in its place, I'll add some ERB. This ERB will pull the product information from the database and display it. Under DB, open seeds.rb. I need to add the product info property to the seed file. After the comma, type info cute puppy. Add a comma afterwards. Add a product info property to the other seed item. Save seeds.rb. To add the product info field to the database, I need a new migration. Open terminal, run 𝐒𝐫𝐸𝐺 migration, add product info field. Under db migrate, open product info field.rb. Within the change method, I'll add an info column to the products table. This column will contain a string. So type add column products info string. I'll migrate the new info field to the database. Open terminal, run rake db migrate. Then, to reset all the data in the database, run rake db migrate reset. Finally, to load the new seed data, run rake db seed. Start your Rails server. Go to your home page. Now the info from the cat product are pulled from the database and displayed. Under App, Controllers, open chargescontroller.rb. I don't want my product ID to be hard-coded into the controller. Instead, I need to make sure that the product ID is pulled from the database and passed to the controller. On line 20, delete the hard-coded 1 after product ID, and in its place, type product.id. Also, I don't want to pass the amount I'm charging product in the form field. Instead, I'll pull the amount for the product from the database. So delete params amount and type in its place product.price. Open your purchases controller. After add purchase, I'm going to add another variable. This time, it'll be @product. Now it'll equal product purchase.find at purchase.product_ID. This variable at product is finding a product in the database based on the product's ID. In views, purchases, open show.html.erb. I need to go through the receipt and make sure the correct information is pulled from the database to be rendered. On line 9, I'll display the product title from the database, delete the hard-coded your product, and add some ERB. This ERB will display the product title. Instead of what you sold, change that to what you bought. Under app, models, open product.rb. Stripe needs the product's price in cents. However, in the database, I'm storing the product's price as $4.99. I'll add a new method that will convert the product's price from dollars to cents. So in class product, type a new method, and this method will be called price in cents, and make sure that has an end. And inside the price in cents method, add some code to convert the price from dollars to cents. So it will take the product's price from the database, which is stored as $4.99 in this case, and times it by 100 to get it to cents. Then we'll convert it to an integer. So like I said, this method, price in cents, will convert the product's price to cents. To_I, make sure an integer is returned. Remember, an integer is just a rounded number. I need to make sure that the price in cents is passed as the hidden field amount. So under views, pages, open home.html.erb. On line 21, delete price. We'll use the price in cents method instead. So type price in cents. I also need to make sure that the price in cents is passed as the amount in the charges controller. So open your charges controller. In the create method, I need to start by getting the product. Type on line 4, product equals product.find by SKU. Open seeds.rb and copy one of your product SKUs. Then go back to the charges controller and paste it in. Then, instead of the amount being product.price on line 20, it will be amount.price in cents. I want to test this out. Open Chrome, go to your homepage. Try buying a product. Everything worked. Now most of the product information is being successfully pulled from the database and rendered. I'm going to continue updating the templates to pull product information from the database. Under App, Views, Purchases, open show.html.erb. Delete what you bought. Let's display the product subtitle instead. And then delete the hard-coded price on line 12 and output the product's price from the database. I still need a $sign here. Open chargescontroller.rb. I need to make sure that the amount charged for the product is pulled from the database. So delete params amount on line 14, and instead we'll pull the product's price from the database, but we want it in cents. So we'll use price in cents method. Let's test this out to make sure everything comes through from the database. Restart your local server, refresh the home page, try purchasing an item. Great, I'm redirected to the receipt and the proper information pulled from the database. Letter Opener also opens up the email. I want to save these changes to Git. Open terminal, run git add dot git commit -m updated views to pull information from the database. I'll push the updated code to GitHub. Run git push origin master. Let's push the updated code to Heroku. Run git push Heroku master. Once your updated app has been pushed to Heroku, go to Heroku.com and go to your dashboard. Click on your app, go to Resources, click on Heroku Postgres Database. Then click on this gear in the top right and click Reset Database. Type reset below and hit reset. Once you've done that, go back to your terminal and run Heroku run rake db migrate. This migrated the database changes to Heroku. Let's upload the new seed data. Run Heroku run rake db seed. Go to your Heroku URL, try buying something. Everything works. The correct information is being pulled from the database. In this tutorial, we updated the receipt to pull the correct information from the database. We then got it working on Heroku. Go to stripe.com and log into your dashboard. From the left nav bar, click on Plans. Click on the button that says Create Your First Plan. The ID will be CAT, the name will be CAT Plan, the currency will be USD. I'll keep the amount as $4.99. The interval will be monthly. There'll be no trial period, and the statement describer will be Nice Cat. Click Create Plan. I want customers to be able to subscribe to the plan. In Sublime, Under App Controllers, open chargescontroller.rb. On line 9, put a comma, and then on line 10, type plan equals greater than, I'll put the ID for the plan, which in this case is cat. When customers make a purchase, I want them to be charged for this subscription plan. So now, I don't need to charge them for a one-off purchase here. Therefore, delete everything from line 13, charge equals Stripe, to line 18, the closing bracket. I need to change the currency and description of the purchase. So next to description, delete charge, and instead it will be the product.description. Next to currency, delete charge.currency, and let's set the currency to USD. Save your charges controller. I'm going to test this subscription plan. Refresh your homepage. Buy the product. I'm redirected to my receipt. It looks like everything worked. Go to your Stripe dashboard, click on your customers, and I can see I have a customer subscribed to this plan. Great, it worked. We can now sell monthly subscriptions. I need to save these changes to Git. Open your terminal, run git add dot git commit -m added subscription plan for cat. We added our first subscription plan and made sure it's all working. I want to test the app on Heroku. Open your terminal. First, I need to push the updated code to GitHub. Run git push origin master. Then, to push the app to Heroku, run git push Heroku master. To reset the Heroku app's database, run Heroku pg reset database. I see a warning. To proceed, type the name of your app. Then, to migrate the updated database structure to Heroku, run Heroku run rake db migrate. To add the current C data to the Heroku app's database, run Heroku run rake db seed. Open Chrome and go to your Heroku app's homepage. Try buying something. Great! Everything is working on Heroku. If you want to allow customers to cancel their subscription, you would need to implement Stripe webhooks. This can get complicated, and it will require a course of its own. However, when your business is just getting started, I recommend just having a form where people will email you if they want to cancel their subscription. Then, you can go into Stripe admin and cancel that user's subscription. Keep in mind that if your subscription business takes off, you can spend the time to implement Stripe webhooks then. Right now, you can successfully take subscription payments and start to build your business. To work towards having a page that lists all of the items available for sale. In Finder, open your Learn Rails project. Under Application, Assets, Images, drag your product images into the Images folder. In dbseeds.rb, make sure your image name correctly corresponds to the image. I want a page that displays all of the products from the database. I need to create a new controller. Under App Controllers, create a new file. Save this file as products_controller.rb. Then type class products controller less than application controller and make sure you end that class. Then we'll add a method called index and we'll end that method. And in that method, we'll create a variable, call it products, and it will be set to all of the products. The products controller has a method called index. Index is a variable called products, which pulls all of the products from the database. I want to have a page that displays all of the products in a list. I need a root for this page. Under config, open routes.rb. Copy all of line 7, paste below. Instead of purchases, it will be products, and this will only display the index. I've limited this route's resources to only the index method in productscontroller.rb. Save routes.rb. I have to create a view for the index method. Under views, create a new folder, call it products. In products, create a new file, save it as index.html.erb. Then add a header 1 tag and say the products will be listed here soon. Save this file, go to localhost 3000/products. Great, my products page is working. I'm going to continue working on the products page to display all our products from the database. Open app, views, products, index.html.erb. And then I'll change this header 1 tag to we sell these products. And then I'll add an unordered list and close it. And in that unordered list, I'll put some ERB. And this ERB will loop through all the products and we'll display them. Make sure you end the loop. Then we'll list out all the products in the database. And again, add products is a variable from the products controller. This embedded Ruby loops through the products in the database. The title for each product is then outputted in a list. So save index.html.erb, open Chrome, and refresh /products. Great! Both product titles were pulled from the database and output successfully. I want the image for each product. The product image will link to a page where the item could then be purchased. So go back to index.html.erb, and I'm going to paste in a bunch of HTML. I don't want you to have to sit here while I type all this, so you could find all this code linked to the lecture. I'm going to use embedded Ruby to make the images render. On line 11, we'll add some ERB, so use asset underscore path, and then link to your image. And do the same on line 19. On line 11 and 19, the equal sign means that the image will be rendered by the browser. To link to the image, I use the method assetPath. I passed the image's name as the parameter. Go back into Chrome and refresh /products. Images are displayed. Go back into index.html. There's some repetitive code. Delete everything from line 16, div class product clearfix, all the way down to the closing div tag on line 23. Let's loop through each product in the database. Cut the loop on line 3 and paste it on line 8 underneath section ID products. Then cut the end of the loop on line 5 and paste it below the closing div tag on line 17. Finally, delete everything from line 1, the header 1 tag, to the end of line 5, the closing unordered list tag. I'll use this loop to output each product's title, price, and alternative tag from the database. On line 6, change the alternative tag to include some ERB. And then I'll display the product's title as the alternate title for the image. Then delete the hard-coded product price on line 7, put a $sign, and add an ERB tag. This ERB will display the product's price from the database. Finally, instead of the hard-coded product title on line 9, delete that text and add another ERB tag. This will display the title of each product. Open Chrome and refresh /products. The price and title of each product has been successfully pulled from the database and rendered. Right now, only the cat image is coming through because it's being hard-coded in index.html. So open that file. First, I'm going to fix the alternative text, so it should actually be product.title, and now get rid of these single quotes. Then, to make the image correct, delete kitty.jpg in the single quotes, and after asset.path, type product.image_name. Save index.html, refresh localhost 3000 /products. Great! Now the cat and dog image and the correct price and title is properly pulled from the database and displayed. On /products, I want to add a title between the header image and the top row of the cat image. Open index.html.erb. On line 1, I'm going to paste in some HTML. I added a section tag, an article tag, and a header 1 tag that says, "Look at our animals." Refresh /products. I now have this header 1 tag. The title comes through. We should save the updated code at Git, then push it to Heroku. Open terminal, run git add.git commit-m, improved the product page. Then to push the updated code to GitHub, run git push origin master. Finally, to push the updated code to Heroku, run git push Heroku master. To make sure Heroku's database is up to date, I'll run Heroku run rake db migrate. Finally, I'll run Heroku run rake db seed. Go to your Heroku homepage, then go to /products. I'm seeing both of my animals, and the correct information is being pulled from the database and rendered. I improve the look of the products page. I then push the updated app to Heroku. I'm going to add a product detail page. Open index.html.erb. On line 8, each of these products needs a detail page. First, I need a new root. Under config, open routes.rb. I'll add the show method to the product's root. So next to index, add a comma, then type show. Now that this root has access to the show method, I need to add the method show to the products controller. So under controllers, open productscontroller.rb, add the show method. In the show method, I'll have a new variable called product, and it will find the product based on its ID. I defined a new method called show. This method has a variable called product, which finds the product's ID in the database. Lastly, I need to create a template for show. In Views, Products, create a new file and save it as show.html.erb. In Views Pages, open home.html.erb and copy all of the code. Paste it into show.html.erb. Save this file. Open Chrome, go to /products/1, and I'm taken to the cat. Go to products/2, and now I'm taken to the dog. So the product detail page is starting to come together. Next, I need to link these images to that page. I want these images to link to the right page. Open index.html.erb. The link should not point to productdetail.html, so delete that and in its place add some ERB, and we'll link to the product path for each product. This will set the link's path to the ID of whatever product is viewed. Refresh the products page, now click on an image. Click on the other one, and now I'm taken to the dog page. These links now work. I'm going to set this products list as my home page. Under config, open routes.rb and change the root online 5 to say products, and it will point to the index method. In Chrome, refresh the home page. The products list page is now the home page. I need to update the charges controller to make sure it charges for the correct product. First, I'll need the charge form to get the product ID. Open views, products, show.html.erb. I'll add a hidden field to the charge form. This hidden field will be for the product ID. Now, when the charge form is submitted, this hidden field will pass the product's ID. Open chargescontroller.rb. Delete find by SKU. Instead, we'll use the find method to find the product being purchased based on the parameter product_ID from the hidden form field. I want each product to have its own monthly plan. So open seeds.rb and take note of each of your SKU names. Go to stripe.com, click account settings, go to data, and delete all your test data. Once you've done that, click on plans, and let's create a new plan. The ID will be based on the SKU. Dog plan, USD, I'll keep it as $4.99 for now, and the statement will be nice dog. So I'll create that plan, and then create another plan. This time, I'll use the SKU kitty1, and it will be the cat plan. Again, it will be $4.99. The statement description, it will say nice cat. Click create plan there. In chargescontroller.rb, instead of plan, have it take the product.sku. Refresh your homepage, click on the dog, get this, and it has the correct item. Refresh your dashboard. The purchase went through. Go to customers, and I have a customer. This customer has been successfully subscribed to the dog plan, and the receipt is also correct. Open terminal, run git add dot git commit -m, updated the charges controller to charge for the right product. Then I'll push these changes to GitHub with git push origin master. Finally, I'll push these changes to Heroku with git push Heroku master. You now have a subscription system that uses the database and works end-to-end. In the future, I'll add bonus videos to make the homepage look a little bit nicer. But right now, you have all the skills you need to accept both one-off payments and subscription payments with Stripe and Ruby on Rails. Thanks for taking this course.